Welcome to Earth2, where superheroes exist and comic book talk is the norm. It's your boy MoeCrosby. I am here to unload and unpack, review, recap, whatever you guys want to call it, another Game of Thrones episode. I am sorry I wasn't able to do the one last week. I was out of town. By the time I got back, things moved on. Whatever. I'm done giving you guys excuses because I am going to be super dedicated 100% to the channel and to releasing content on time and on the early for you guys. So Earth2 has a new motto, and I'm here to do it. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the episode. But first, sit back, relax, and as always,
welcome to the planet.
Now, season 7 has been really good so far. I've enjoyed almost every episode. Pretty much, again, some have had great points and low points, especially last week's episode. I felt like it had a lot of great points, but some low. And then at the end of it was just, Lady Olenna to me was just the best thing about last week's episode. Also, seeing that Tyrion is not as smart as he thought he was as a Lannister, so we're seeing a little power dynamic. I'm not gonna lie, I was on Team Cersei last week because what she did to the Dornish Queen was just amazing. It was beautiful to watch because of just how sick it was. Like you were going to watch your daughter die in front of you and disintegrate and all that good stuff. So I really rated that episode really mid-level because it had a lot of low points and a lot of slow movement. But season 7 episode 4, the Spoils of War, is one that I personally would like to call the reunion episode, but one that didn't slow down for anything. It didn't there was maybe one or two slow points, but everything in this episode was kind of a hit. You were hitting all the points on this episode and I loved it. It starts, the reason I call it a reunion episode is about 3 or 4, maybe 5 reunions that happen. we have Jon and Greyjoy. We have I don't want to necessarily call Bronn and Jamie a reunion, but it's something that we haven't really seen in this episode. If we finally got, I'll call it a reunion because we get to see them interact. We had Sansa and Arya and Bran. I'm sorry, and Arya and Lady Brienne of Tarth. So yeah, I'd say a 5. I was on the money with it. So yeah, let's get into the episode actually, guys. Okay, so it starts off with Bronn of Blackwater and Jamie, talking and interacting. Hey, here's money for helping me, get this money from Olenna and what's not. Well, you promised me a castle. I'm not really satisfied with our arrangement so far isn't really satisfying. Jamie's like, well, I would give you a castle, but Daenerys can come take that castle today. I can give you this one. And since we haven't won the war yet, I don't want to give you something that I can't help you fortify, I can't help you defend, which is a good point. But Bronn being Bronn is like, look, Lannisters always pay their debts, except to me. Fast forward, we move on, and we're back in Winterfell, and we see that Bran is being talked to by my man. Everybody hates him, but it's my man. Littlefinger. And Littlefinger says to Bran, look, man, this is the dagger that was supposed to kill you. Now it's yours to own. It is Valyrian steel, and it's really, it's crafted really well. It looks really nice. And Bronn is looking at this like, I don't know what to do with this because technically I am not Bran anymore. I'm above this. And he says something to Littlefinger that makes Littlefinger, think a little bit. This is the line that Littlefinger had delivered, I think, in season 2, where it says, "Death is a ladder." I think this was called the Climb. The episode was The Climb. I'm not sure if it's season 2 or season 4, but the episode was called The Climb, and this is where he had said that line, and now Bran was repeating it to him because Bran again sees things, and maybe Bran has seen that maybe Littlefinger was the one involved with trying to get him dead. That happened, and in the same scene we get the girl who's been with Bran the whole time, who's, I don't know if she had any like her heart went pitter patter for Bran, but she comes in and she's trying to talk to him like, I gotta leave, I'm going to go back to see my people, make sure that if anything is going to happen, I'm there with them, I'm going to be able to help them or defend them or whatever. And Bran is like, okay, thank you. And she's like, well, you're not the same, you're different. And in a fit of rage walks out, because again, this is what I love about the reunions in this episode, is or what this episode holds, is it stands to show where everyone is at this point since the beginning, since the journey started in season 1 up to this point. So Bran is a different person. And then we cut right around that because we don't go outside of Winterfell yet. We're still in Winterfell, and we see Arya's back. She rides in. She walks to the gate, and she's trying to walk into Winterfell, and the guards are like, "I don't know you. Get out of here." And she tells them, "Look, if you don't let me into Winterfell, I will get in somehow. And when I do get in, I'm going to tell my sister, the Lady of Winterfell now, Lady Stark, that something's gonna happen to you guys." And guilt, it's fear. They let her in, but they sit her down and they're like, "Wait here." She asked for 2 people, a maester and another guy. I don't remember his name, but she asked for 2 people. And so when she did, and then they're like, "Okay, you go tell her." "No, you go tell her. You go tell her. You go tell." When you go tell her is going between back and forth, and they're trying to talk to Sansa at this point, and Sansa. And they turn around and she's gone. She's disappeared because they told her to stay and sit. Like they're gonna go tell her and bring her back or whatever. Now they go relay the message to Sansa, and Sansa's like, "Who is she? What does she want? Who did she?" But then they go, "Oh, she asked for the maester and she asked for this person." And immediately Sansa knew because that's who her sister used to like to hang around with. And so she knows where she's like, "Don't worry, I know where she is. She's not disappeared, and she's there in her father's crypt." They hug again because they haven't seen each other in a while, but you can tell by the conversations that the conversation they're having that things are different between the two of them. Sansa is different, so is Sansa's different, and so is Arya, because they've both seen different things that have changed their view on everything. And they get to understand that from each other, but they also just get to understand that you may not be who like stuff has changed with you. Obviously she like, "Oh, I respect you as Lady Stark now. It suits you, and you look well. What have you been through? Oh, by the way, Bran is here. We go see Bran." And Bran is like, "Oh, well, I'm not Bran anymore. I see things, and I saw you at the crossroads. I thought weren't you supposed to go to King's Landing? And why were you supposed to go to King's Landing?" Another thing that's really fun, that's really great about this episode is great about this season is every time Arya talks about her list or talks about who she's gonna kill, everyone laughs. No one seems to understand that this girl, is this person anymore. That they still think Arya is the little cute Arya that the tomboy they thought Arya was, but Arya is different, and we're gonna get to see Arya be different in this episode because. So now when you turn around and go back to in the crypt, she said something. "Well, I was mad when Joffrey died. They said you killed him." "No, I didn't kill him. I wish I did." "Oh, I wish I did." Why would you wish that? Why would you want to kill him?" "Because he was on my list." "What list?" "Oh, the list of people I'm going to kill." Sansa laughs. Now, when she gets to Bran, and he's like, Bran says, "I thought you were going to King's Landing," and she's like, "I thought I was going to go there too." Sansa's like, "Why would you go to King's Landing?" Then Bran answers the question, "Because Cersei's on her list." And then it's starting to click to Sansa that, okay, maybe there's something going on between the two of you guys that I'm not really aware of. Turn around. Now we're back on the shores of the Dragon Islands or whatever. So Jon, Cersei's talking to her girl, and they're walking down, and Jon interrupts, and Jon is like, "Look, this is what's going on. I found the dragon glass, and I'm gonna need you to come take a look at it before we start hacking it up and just mining your island." And while they're in this cave, Jon shows her cave art of like, "Look, this is the first man. This is the children of the forest. They work together to fight a common enemy. This is the enemy, and the reason they're in this cave obviously is because this." Daenerys turns to Jon and says, "Look, I will fight with you." Actually, no, she didn't say fight with you. She said fight for you. "I will fight for you. I will fight for you against these people if you bend the knee." Jon is like, "Look, my people have suffered a lot from the south, and I'm not sure and especially with the Mad King, and I'm not sure if they would feel a way, if to bow the knee to you." And she says they will if their king does. she now acknowledges Jon as the king in the north. Like, they chose you to be the king, so I will fight for you as long as the king bows his knee. Now she's respecting Jon. We don't see what is said. We don't see what happens. The scene cuts and they're back out. Now, Tyrion has come to deliver the bad news that, they captured Casterly Rock, but their ships are done and Olenna's dead. Daenerys has had it. She's like, look, I have my dragons. Let's go, handle stuff. And obviously, you have your dragons. You want to go handle things. Like, Tyrion warns her, look, you don't want to do this. Of course, she's hard-headed. And she's like, maybe you don't want to hurt your family or your siblings, because somehow all the time, everything that we've done, somehow they've managed to stop it, or they've managed to be ahead of us. Now, it gets you thinking, is Cersei smarter than Tyrion? I think so. I think Tyrion has underestimated the lengths Cersei would go to handle business. All right, come back. We go to Cersei, who is now talking to the man in the bank, from the Iron Bank. Like, look, I'm gonna get your money. I already got all your money. You're not gonna charge me no interest. You're gonna have to back me in this war coming up. Blah blah blah. The Iron Islands, again, the Iron Bank, they don't really care about who wins. They just care about what they can get, like the spoils of war, pretty much. If you can pay me, if I back you and you can pay me, that's it. We just want the math. We just want the money. We don't care about who wins. We don't, because for some reason the Iron Islands or the Iron Bank is like Switzerland in real life, where if there's a war going on around the world, Switzerland is the only part, I believe. I still think that it's one of the only parts in the world where nothing can touch it. Yes, same with Iron Bank or the Iron Islands. And so we cut there, and they have this whole conversation, and Cersei's planning, plotting to take everything. Daenerys back on the island is tired. She's fed up, and she's like, look, I'm gonna go do this. And Jon warns her, if you go in hot, you will be like everyone else. You gotta strategize, you gotta think through things. So he calms her down, and it looked really good. For a second, it looked like her and Jon were having this whole thing. And it's so weird because when I forget her name, Daenerys' girl was like, look man, like, I serve her because this, that, and the third. Why do you serve her? She asked Jon, oh well, your name is Snow and your father is Stark. What's with that? Well, I'm a bastard, blah blah. From my island, I'm a bastard. And then it just starts to spin my head. I'm like, oh, R plus L equals J. Like, what if the creators of the show, did they really confirm the R plus L theory, or are they still trying to mess with us, making us continue to walk that line and then turn around? R plus L is not J, it's something else. We'll see. Anyways, that's a fun thing. I want you guys to comment down and let me know if you guys are still going with the R plus L, or if you guys are starting to see something different, or if you guys are starting to see what Davos sees. It's like, hey, look, man, I see the way you look at Daenerys. Like, what's going on with that? So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. And while they're talking, we get Theon on the last reunion, I believe. Theon comes through and he goes, oh no, the second to last one, because we have one more and then something else happens. Theon comes in and says, look, my sister has been kidnapped. And Jon walks up to Theon and says, the only reason that you're not dead, I'm not killing you right now, is because of what you did for my sister. So Theon, again, is a different person from season 1, because for Theon we got to see what he went through. Jon is a different person from season 1. He's more, like he's starting to become more hard. So everyone is different in this episode. Now we go back to Winterfell. Theon is like, I need the queen to give me, to help me go get my sister back. The queen is not here. She's gone. Where is she gone? We don't know. Cut back to Winterfell. We get Podrick and Brienne of Tarth training. And again, this is something that we haven't seen in a while. And Podrick and Brienne are training. It's kind of cute. And she's training Podrick, and Podrick is losing. And Arya walks in and goes, hey, look, man, you shouldn't fight someone like her in the first place. And she's like, you know what? I'd like you to train. Arya's like, I'd like you to train me, Brienne of Tarth. Like, I've seen you fight. You beat the Hound, so shoot, I'd like for you to train me. This was a very, very good fight. I mean, we get to see Arya like lose her, like Arya was on it, like on point with the fighting, with the parrying. I mean, it almost looked like she bested Brienne, and I mean she did, and it was so beautiful to watch. But then if you're looking up at the top, you're seeing Sansa looking down and Littlefinger looking down, and in my opinion, Littlefinger looking down was very, very. I don't know. I didn't trust him. But Sansa's looking like, yo, like this is not my sister anymore. This is a different person. Like, yo, what is really going on here? Like, hey, it's lit. Like, you're lit, but I don't know. I'm kind of scared of you, or I'm kind of jealous of you. I was getting a jealous vibe because this is, oh, I went through what I went through, so you probably were able to defend yourself with everything you were going through. Blah blah blah. Sansa's just becoming this person that I'm not really, because at first I understood her motivations. In the first couple of episodes. Now I'm not seeing her motivations or where they're taking her, but I'm still very interested into where they're taking Sansa this season. So we come back to Sir Bronn and Jamie, talking to the Tarleys, Lord Tarley, like, hey, we are going to start moving people and we need them to move faster. And they talk to Lord Tarley's son, and it's like, look, man, I ain't never killed no one in my life. I knew these people I killed. I didn't expect it to be like that. Well, you know what? Whatever. And Sir Bronn is like, hold on. I hear something. What do you hear? The Dothraki horde, like just riding like madmen. These people are not expecting what they're seeing. It's like 20,000 Dothraki soldiers just riding down, bearing down against the full might of the Lannister and the Tarly army, and we get this beautiful war scene. And then just when you think, before we get the war scene, we're seeing them ride down, and just when you think, oh man, this is gonna be bloody because they're gonna be riding into spears, just when you think it's crazy, Daenerys flies in on top of Drogon, and it's like Dracarys, like burns the first line. And this is what I love about Dragonfire. It burns clean through. Everything is clean. Like, it's all that's left is ash. So she burns the first line. The Dothraki go in and destroy everything. I mean, even Braun was like, Jamie, go back right now to King's Landing because you don't want none of this. You don't want none of this smoke. We're seeing all this happen, and then Tyrion walks up, and he walks up on this hill, and the Dothraki with him, and they're like, look, your people don't know how to fight. And he's looking around and he's looking at everything. He's looking at all of this destruction and damnation going on, and he's like, wow, this is craziness. Jamie is, holding his own because Jamie's was one of the best fighters. Even though he's left-handed now, he's still one of the best fighters in the realm. And this is just beautifully done. The war scene is beautiful. Daenerys is riding. She's taking people out. She's, Drogon is killing people, and so we finally get to see the weapon in action. Now, what I thought when I first saw that weapon or last week was, okay, you're firing your despair at brittle dragon bones, because at first when you fire this weapon, you're firing this weapon at a moving dragon, and you're firing into muscle, flesh, into flesh, muscle, and dragon scale flesh and muscle. So before you even hit anything vital, you got to go through a couple layers. We see the weapon in action. He misses his first shot. Daenerys lines up again to like burn him through. He fires. He hits the dragon. He hits Drogon, and which I was like, oh, at this point I'm looking at it like, yo, this is crazy. I don't want anything to happen to Drogon. But you turn around. He handles himself. He comes back, destroys the weapon. So now we've seen that the weapon doesn't work. Again, you're looking at it scientifically. It's it's a high velocity weapon. You got to hit a lot of things to get into it. So again, I don't know how dragon flesh is, but I'd imagine like an alligator, like alligator skin, where it's really hard on the surface, and you still got to go through flesh and muscle. And so that's the closest thing I can imagine it to. And so we get that happening, and he fires, he hits Drogon, and Drogon lines himself back up, destroys the weapon, and Daenerys dismounts to pull the spear out. And while she's pulling it again, back turned. This is what I love. The imagery in this episode is, remember who killed the Mad King and how he killed the Mad King. He stabbed him in the back. Your boy picks up a spear, rides his horse, while Daenerys has a back turned to him. And again, your boy Jaime Lannister, is about to kill another Targaryen. He's thinking this is about to be the same sweet ass thing that I did, before season 1 and before everything happens. I'm about to kill this, I'm about to kill her in the back. And the last Targaryen you killed, you stabbed in the back, didn't have a dragon. This one does. The dragon turns around. Again, we see Tyrion, who loves his brother, and for good right, because this brother, this family member loves him just as much. Tyrion turns around, and while she's, with it, and he's coming to make it happen, the dragon turns around, to protect his mother. But someone in the last minute, hits Jaime out the way, and he falls in the lake, but the dragon misses. It's something where I think they're gonna probably pull him out of the water. He's gonna be a prisoner again. We're gonna get to see Jaime be a prisoner again, and this might be what actually starts the war, starts the actual war itself. Now, this is the end of the episode. Jaime is sinking into the river, water, whatever. It's the end of the episode. Now, I rate this episode really, really high. I love this one. I love it. I don't think there's a better episode this season. I feel like every episode has kind of gotten better. The last one got better to me towards the end. This one got better as it was going in. It started off great and it ended great. Now, my review for this episode is, like I said, I love it. There are a lot of questions, like I said, with Jon and Dany. Are we, is R plus L still J? Is, again, are the writers, producers, are they messing with us? Are they letting fanfic write this, or are they, messing? This is what you guys think. All right, fine. We're gonna turn it on its head. We're gonna make you think something else. Let me know what you guys think down in the section below. Like I said, this episode just got me really excited and really hyped for next week's. I really don't have much more to say because everything in this episode was fantastic. Everything, the fights, the sets were great. Like, the pieces in this episode were fantastic. I just wish we were getting a longer season, or even more, just longer episodes then. And if we're getting longer episodes for a shorter season, I wouldn't mind. But again, it's been your boy MoeCrosby. I'll be back next week Sunday to talk about more Game of Thrones with you guys. And I'll probably be doing a group discussion, for the Game of Thrones when the season is done, with a couple friends of mine over at JVS and maybe Anthony Rodriguez. They've been on the podcast before. Check Earth2 out on social media at Earth2 Comicast on Instagram, Facebook, and the Twitter. You can always find me personally on MoeCrosby on Twitter, Instagram, and yes, I will be tweeting, talking about Game of Thrones, been trying to figure a lot of things out, and I'll be trying to figure it out with you guys too. So let me know what your thoughts on Jon and Daenerys is, and also let me know, how everything is gonna play out this season. I feel for a fact, like I said, Jaime's gonna get captured, and then war is gonna ensue. Of course, because now she's the queen over there and she can do whatever she wants. She has to get her money back, and she's gonna turn around and be like, okay, look, I know we said we're gonna pay you, but look, you got to help me out so I can go get my brother back, win this war, and turn the tides and give you back your money. I think that's what's going to happen. But I also think while all that is happening, the real business is going to happen. Winter will come, because I think while that war is going on, with Jon not at Winterfell, I don't know if Winterfell will be able to protect themselves long enough for. I just feel like something is gonna happen at Winterfell. Just the fact that they're not really focusing on it right now, a lot of. And with Littlefinger, I think this might be his final season, because things are happening in this episode, in the season, things happen in this episode that don't bode well, or do bode well for. Littlefinger to me plays this very well. We might see him succeed in this. Again, this was my review and my recap for the Spoils of War. It's a lot to talk about. I can talk about this episode for at least 3 hours, but I'm gonna do it, within this time that I'm doing it. Thank you for watching. This has been your boy MoeCrosby. Go fill your long boxes. Peace.